launch anniversary is today, and this morning we're talking to NASA scientist Kelsey Young from NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland. Joining us by satellite this morning. Good morning. So the moon landing anniversary itself just a couple of days away. How's NASA looking back on this monumental moment?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, so we're actually looking back on this momentous Apollo 11 50th anniversary by actually having events all across the country. So we encourage you to check out nasa.gov to find an event near you. But this is an amazing opportunity to reflect on the amazing accomplishments of the moon landing and also to look forward to what the future of lunar exploration looks like. So please come celebrate with us. Look for an event near you. I know there's a lot happening in Seattle, so we encourage you to get out there and talk to scientists about what's going on with lunar exploration today.
It's been fun to kind of walk up to this anniversary, talk to so many folks, but in the next couple of months, NASA is going to be opening moon rock samples that have been sealed since the mission. So what do you think we could learn when we look at these new samples, or old samples rather?
We're lucky enough that folks back in Apollo had the foresight to keep some of the samples that Apollo astronauts brought back sealed, unopened, in anticipation of the developing technologies that were going to happen in the decades following Apollo. That's exactly what happened. We've been able to have technologies been developed in the last few decades that enables us to look at moon rocks with fresh eyes and learn new things about the moon that just wouldn't have been possible in the years following Apollo. And so it's a really exciting time. Right here at the Goddard Space Flight Center, we have two teams that are going to be looking at new unopened moon rocks.
That's so cool. All right, so let's talk about the next mission to the moon, because the goal is like within 5 years. I mean, you're going to send the first woman to the moon. Another man is going to be on the moon. You're going to go to the South Pole. What do we know about this mission?
Absolutely. The Artemis program, the goal is to send the first woman and the next man to the lunar surface. We're going to the South Pole. Why the South Pole? Well, we've actually discovered that there's water on the moon, and it's in the highest concentrations actually at the South Pole. So by sending humans there, we'll be able to evaluate just how much water is there and evaluate how we could use it as a potential resource to enable a sustainable human presence on the lunar surface. And the South Pole is the best place to do that.
So Anne McClain is from Washington State. She just got back from space. We're rooting for her to be that first woman on the moon. So if you could pass that along to your bosses, we'd be super into that.
Sure,
so let's talk about the current mission that's orbiting the moon, the Lunar Reconnaissance orbiter. It's celebrating a 10-year anniversary. Could you kind of tell us what you've learned and if there's anything surprising that you've gotten from that mission so far?
Yeah, so many anniversaries to celebrate recently. So the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter has spent the last 10 years in orbit around the moon, taking really high-resolution pictures and getting other data that images the entire lunar surface. We can see the past where the Apollo astronauts actually walked on the surface of the moon and placed the samples that they collected in even greater context than we had the ability to do before. The Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter spacecraft also is what helped us identify that there was water on the moon and that it was in high concentrations in the South Pole. So the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter is just an amazing resource for both science and exploration, and it's still in orbit today learning new things.
I love it. So, I mean, so many people are reminiscing about like where they were when they were watching the Apollo launch today, or maybe, you know, they weren't alive at the time, but they're talking to people who have great memories, or they have some kind of connection because there's like hundreds of thousands of people who worked on the program. So how do we share those stories and how do we learn more about this?
I think this is one of the coolest things about the 50th anniversary. You can go to nasa.gov/Apollo stories and like you said, tell your story of how the Apollo 11 moon landing impacted you. If you were alive at the time, tell us where you were and how it impacted you. If you weren't, we know your parents, grandparents, neighbors, friends have stories of what that moon landing meant to them, and we really want to hear it. So you can go give your story and hear about others' experiences and how they relate to the moon landing.
We only have a couple of seconds left. I just want to ask you an unscripted question. Do you think we're going to go back to the moon and live there and stay there? Because if so, I want to go.
Absolutely. I truly believe that's in the future. We're learning more about resources that are on the moon that we can use to create that long-term presence, and I definitely think that's in the future, so I'll take your name down for the next mission.
All right, Travis. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
I got it.
Live from NASA this morning
so
in Maryland. Thanks for joining us. All right, guys, back over to you.
Shame.